Hey guys, it's Brian. Before you go ahead and do anything else, make sure you leave a like and subscribe and turn on those notifications if you want to see more content like this in the future. Anyways, on to the video. Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. And so today we have a little bit of an interesting matchup between my Shaddoll Invoked Dogmatika deck versus Prankid's, and this was against Ginger Top. At the time that we were playing, he was in the top 15 in Dueling book. So much respect to him. So keep in mind, that I played this game about 2 days ago, and the reason being that I haven't uploaded was because I couldn't really record because my voice was gone. So that's why you saw the 2 deck profiles the last couple of days, so I can recover my voice because those were already pre-recorded. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. But before we do, please make sure you go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. Really does help out the channel a lot, and we're trying to go ahead and make it to 300 subs by the end of the month. So let's go ahead and get right into the matchup. So I'm going first. Oops. Before we get into it, let me just go ahead and click show both. So as you can see here, my opening hand was Ash, Meltdown, Foolish Burial, Lancia, and Rush. Reason being that you're seeing Lancia in the deck is that I recently took out the Dragoon package from the deck just to go ahead and see how it worked out. And so far I'm liking it back again, putting it back in the main deck. Unfortunately taking out the Dragoon, but I felt like because people were playing Dark Ruler in the side deck more often, among other cards, I felt like it was necessary to take it out because it was just a liability at this point. So we see my opponent drawing Fansies, Roxy's, Thunder Dragon Fusion, Pandemonium, and Terraforming. So starting out, I go ahead and just simply start by playing the Meltdown. And I don't really end up much, but after getting the Meltdown and getting the Alistair normal summon, and then getting the Invocation, I go ahead and decide to do Foolish Burial to see what I can draw off of Beast. And I did draw the Skomata in this case. So drawing an extra monster does help out in this situation because it allows me to go ahead and save a monster when I try to negate with Mechaba if push comes to shove. That way I can leave the Alistair for a damage step boost or just going ahead and having the normal summon for the next turn. So after going ahead and using Invocation's effect to get Alistair back to hand, I set the Rush because I have Beast in Grave, and then I end my turn. Fortunately, my opponent draws into a second Thunder Dragon Fusion, which doesn't really help out his cause. But because he does have Fansies and Roxy's, he's still able to play no problem. So he starts off by going to Terraforming, goes into place. I allow the place to go through, which I could have just ashed it when he terraformed, but I didn't know what he was playing, and I wanted to know. And I felt like the play that I should stop would be the search off of the Link if he normal summons. So he goes for Roxy's here. And since Roxy's banishes as a resolution effect, I decided to go ahead and chain Lancia here to go ahead and avoid him from getting that additional draw. He goes with Pandemonium here. And so he summons the Rocket Ride. And so he pretty much at this point, because of place, boosted his monsters by 500 and decreased my Mecha by 500. So after going ahead and using both effects of fans and drops, he goes ahead and decides to go ahead and he just goes ahead and decides to link off into the Dodo. And because he's going to go ahead and try and search for Dodo, I want to keep him off of Pandemonium again, so I just go ahead and Ash it, keeping the Mecha buff for a negate as well. So here he tries to go ahead and use Rocket Ride, and here I have to go ahead and use Mechaba. Mechaba can still negate Underlands, yet it just doesn't banish. So he goes ahead and gets back the Pranks and the Pandemonium. Uses Pranks to go ahead and pitch the Pandemonium, which I thought would have been good if he discarded the fusion, but then I read Pranks and it says it has to discard a Prank Kid's card specifically. So he goes into Bow Wow. Goes into the Thunder Dragon fusion. Since he has all the materials, he goes ahead and simply just go into Battle Butler. Since Battle Butler already has 4,000, and it's not going to matter if I Alistair here, so I'm not going to waste my Alistair for nothing. So I go ahead and flip Rush when he attacks with the Bow Wow. And I try to get Squamata back instead of Beast, because that forces him to, if he attacks, he knows I'm going to get rid of the Battle Butler. And so for me, he just decides to end his turn, but before ending his turn, in the end phase, he's going to use Pranks to go ahead and recycle back his resource to draw a card. And unfortunately, he draws Roxy's again. So, heading off, he does not do anything of significance in standby phase, except for the Bow Wow, getting back the Pandemonium and the Dropsies. I go ahead and normal summon the Alistair here, getting the Invocation, and before he does anything else, I decide to go ahead and just simply activate Shaddoll Fusion to force out the Battle Butler. If he does not use it, I can use materials from deck, but if he does use it, I still have a way of taking advantage by going into Winda, and with Squamata's effect, I'm able to go ahead and just use Squamata's effect. But because he does blow up the field, I still use Squamata's effect to send something from deck to grave. And I said it's an Aerial here. And I decided to get rid of the Thunder Dragon fusion, the Meow Meow, and not only the Meow Meow but the Bow Wow, simply because I am planning on using the Battle Butler to go ahead and summon a monster. So I decided to make Raijin instead of Aguitas, simply because I want to go ahead and just set the monster right away, so it would force out the Pandemonium. But as you can see, it just continues to escalate, where he just continues to link and fusion summon. And me with just a Raijin that has already been used and Alistair in hand, I really don't have much going for me at this point. So here he continues to board spam and reaches to have 2 Dodos on field, no Nibiru in sight. He already knows I have Alistair. And I just decided to scoop it up. So game 2, I'm going first. I draw into a pretty interesting hand, to say the least. I draw to Ash, Schism, Fleur-de-Lis, Beast, and Super Poly. And my opponent drew Place alongside the 2 Lampsies, the 1 Dropsies, and the 1 Fansies. So I have nothing going for me, but I decided to go ahead and just plant the 1 card that I know really stuns this deck, which is Winda. And I do that by going ahead and normal summoning the Ash, linking to Almirage, going ahead and using Fleur-de-Lis, going to Verte, and because I have the Beast in hand, it's in the Shaddoll Fusion, to go ahead and make window. Draw Ecclesia, and I just go ahead and set both Super Poly and Schism face down. So he goes ahead and use a place to go ahead and search after topping the Cosmic. Goes for Roxy's. Uses both effects to go ahead and draw and search. He tries to go ahead and his main phase uses the Cosmic to go ahead and, after drawing, to go ahead and remove back row. He hits Schism, which unfortunately I cannot chain in this situation. So he goes ahead and use Schism again to get rid of my second back row, which was Super Poly, and decides to pass turn. I draw Call by the Grave, and in this case, I don't really have much going for me again, but I do have the fact that I have a way of searching for some resources at this point. So I go ahead and normal summon the Ecclesia, search out Punishment, and I have Call by the Grave and Punishment here. So I just go ahead and attack. And set 2 pass. So after setting 2 and passing, my opponent doesn't really have much going for him. He has 4 monsters in hand, so none of his fusions can really help him. And so if he tries to link and summon, it's not going to allow him, because after linking off, he's pretty much stuck there because he has no more special summons. So he goes ahead and he just shows the hand and scoops it up. So heading into game 3, I'm going second here. And I wasn't really too upset with my hand. I drew Shaddoll Fusion, Meltdown, Phantasme, Alistair, and Ash, which is pretty good, especially against Prank Kids going second, because whenever they link, I have a way of fixing my hand for anything. And also, not only that, Ash can go ahead and just stop them from playing by just ashing the first card after they link summon Meow Meow. If they don't have any follow-up, they're pretty much just going to pass their turn every time. So he goes ahead and goes for Roxy's, goes for Meow Meow. I go ahead and ash right away. And because he had the instant fusion, which was one of the few ways he could have continued to extend, he decides to go ahead and go into the Weather Washer. Links into Dodo. I go ahead and immediately chain the Phantasme. And I was able to draw into Super Poly and Ecclesia. I decided to put back the Ecclesia simply because if he decides to go ahead and save the Ash for anything else, he's going to go ahead and get punished heavily for not using it on one of my other cards, because there are 3 actionable targets, being the Meltdown, Fusion, and the Alistair. So he goes for a place, getting a search, searching Dropsies in this case. And after searching, he goes ahead and uses the effect of Dodo to go ahead and get those materials back into the extra deck in hand. And from here, he just decides to set 1 pass. In this case, the set 1 being the Pandemonium, so I'm not really too worried. And I drew the Ecclesia again, and I even asked my opponent, did I shuffle, since I only was playing 1. And Super Poly is the most underestimated card in this deck, especially in this matchup, because I can force out my opponents to go ahead and use their materials on field. If they don't use it, I can just get rid of them and they won't get any resources back. So I go ahead and normal summon the Alistair. Oh, I just told Emma I was getting ahead of myself, but he decides to go ahead and let it go through. He decides to go ahead and use Pandemonium here after I summon. And he goes into Weather Washer. So I decided to go ahead and after he chained Inlings, I decided to go ahead and just simply change Super Poly, getting rid of the Shaddoll Fusion. I go ahead and simply just pop the Fansies with the Aguitas. Use the Invocation I have in hand, but he gets to Lancey at me right away. And because I do have the Ecclesia, it's simply game because I'm going to go ahead and search the Fleur-de-Lis. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. It really does help with the channel a lot. And I'll go ahead and continue trying to post daily uploads as much as I can. But on that note, I do want to thank you guys for your time and hope to see you next time. See ya!